History in Motion is proudly brought to you by Midas Sport and its associate sponsors. Welcome to Zwartkops Raceway for round 6 of the Midas Historic Tour. The drivers are welcomed with some tricky conditions with a threat of rain or even a small dose of drizzle, and a bit of a challenge to the drivers in qualifying. First up, we take a trip around the track with Glenn Clark in his Birkin 7.
Pit straight at Zwartkops, going over the start grid under the lights. We head into turn 1 here where we try to turn in late, get as close to the apex as possible, let the car drift out wide and head down towards the hairpin. Here we'll go back to second or third gear depending on the diff ratios. Be on the petrol as soon as possible, get the car straight, headed down towards turn 3, which is a long right-hander where we try to keep it on the apex. Just change up through the gears, getting as much speed out of the car as possible. We're probably doing about 168, 170 there. We'd get back and head into turn 4 as fast as possible, be on the petrol so that the LS diff will work for us, and we head up the hill towards the tabletop section. At the top we have to be very careful on the brakes. The car gets very light as we change back to third gear and turn into the tabletop section. Very short straight, and we'll try to go into the next corner as late as possible to get on the gas for the left-hander going down towards turn 8, which is back into the pit straight. Here we'll be going to fourth gear, heading back down to third gear, try to hit the apex and then be on the gas as soon as possible to get down the straight. Here we cross over the finish line.
Zwartkops throws up some tricky corners and fast sweeps, and these should provide some great racing as we head into our first race, the SKF Pre-66 Legends of the 9-hour production cars, combined with the Trans-Africa Racing Pre-66 Le Mans Sports and GTs.
Yeah, I'm feeling good. First time in the big V8s. It's like the Titanic, it really is big, but a lot of sliding, a lot of drifting, but that's what I love. Excited about the race. It's pity qualifying wasn't too well. I didn't have second gear, so maybe now in the race I can try and make up a few positions.
It's going to be very interesting combining the Legends saloons with the Sports and GTs. I'm going to try and keep out of the way of the rear ends when they start swinging around the corners. Lotus Elan 26R, 1964 is the base car, and beautiful handling, and we're just slowly getting it faster down the straights as well.
Let's take a look at the grid. Ross Lazarus stars up front with Mark Dutoy in the Lola T70 Spider hot on his heels. Oliver DeLay fills up the third spot with Peter Lindenberg alongside him, and in his mirrors is Terry Wilford with Henny Groenewold in 6th. The cars make their way round Goldwagen corner, and we'll be anticipating the lights going out before gingerly putting the power down to start the race. We go on board now with Tom Falconer as he slots in behind Henny Groenewold, who takes the inside line as they head into the BMW Performance Parts corner, and then it's late on the brakes for turn 2. Ross Lazarus is still leading the pack, and Mark Dutoy is coming under pressure from the GT40 of Oliver DeLay and Terry Wilford's Daytona Coupe as they round turn 2. As they power out of the corner, we go on board now with Irfan Porter, who makes his way round the speed and sound sweep. Porter is hoping to use the Porsche 911 flat 6 motor to try and pull a gap on Josh Dovey in his little Lotus 26R. As the cars come up to the fast Castrol Edge corner, Terry Wilford has overtaken Peter Lindenberg, and now Wilford looks to go up the inside of Oliver DeLay's Vauxhall GT40 as they approach Sassol corner. DeLay uses his more nimble GT40 to outbrake the Shelby Daytona of Wilford. From the iron-on board of Peter Lindenberg, we see the action unfold as they head into turn 6. It seems Wilford is looking for any gap to get by. He lines the Daytona up on the inside of DeLay as they head into turn 8 and makes a clean pass as they speed past the start-finish line. Oh no, Ready for Nikak Sr. seems to have come off at turn 6, but is able to rejoin the race. He will be disappointed with that. Thomas Falconer has lined up on the inside of Henny Groenewold as they dive into turn 1 with Jonathan du Toit right behind them. Going on board now with Falconer, and you can see the Mercury Comet of Groenewold on the inside for Renexcon corner. Falconer putting the power of the Ford Mustang GT down and gets a bit sideways on the exit of the corner. Falconer doesn't give up the chase as he keeps close to Groenewold. As the drivers head through Castrol Edge corner, it's still Henny Groenewold and Thomas Falconer side by side. We can see Falconer is yet again on the outside of Groenewold as they break for turn 5. The drivers are fighting tooth and nail in this race, but Falconer seems to have the car in a slide, and that gives a small gap for the Mercury to get by. The battle of the giants continues, and we see Josh Dovey and his Lotus Elan pass Effort Buerta, and now he has a look down the inside of Jonathan du Toit's Chevy Nova. Heading on board with Effort Buerta now, who has a prime seat as the David and Goliath battle in front of him rages on. Into turn 2, and Buerta wants to get involved as he tries to go on the inside of du Toit. Frustration for Buerta as du Toit and Dovey pull away. Dovey looks on the inside of du Toit into turn 4, but he goes wide and bumps into du Toit, sending him into the dirt and out of the battle. On the slow motion replay of the bump, we see Dovey going into turn 4 just a little bit too fast and sliding out wide and hitting the Chevy Nova of du Toit. Back with the battle up front, we see Falconer still side by side with Groenewold as these big cars battle their way around the track. Coming out of turn 8, we see how hard these two are pushing as Groenewold slides his car trying to keep in front of Falconer. Effort Buerta dives up the inside of Josh Dovey into turn 2, but Dovey is holding his ground against the Porsche 911R. On board with Effort Buerta, we see how the two cars match up. The Elan has the power-to-weight ratio, and the Porsche just has pure horsepower, and he uses this to pass the Lotus. Great move by Buerta. Rounding the final bend and coming down to the finish line, we see our race leader and winner Ross Lazarus taking the checkered flag. Groenewold and Falconer are still side by side as they push their V8s to the limit. But it's Henny Groenewold who just gets the flag before Thomas Falconer. A thumbs up from both drivers tells the story of their race. Looking at the results, it's Ross Lazarus taking the win, followed by Terry Wilford, Oliver DeLay, Peter Lindenberg and Mark du Toit. Henny Groenewold takes the flag from Thomas Falconer. Let's hear from the drivers.
I think it was started on lap 2 really. We got close to each other, and from there we had two similar cars, and I think we just gave each other just that enough room to make it possible for us to put the two big cars through most corners together, and really a good dice. Looking forward to the second race.
Yeah, it was a total jewel, probably the closest, most exciting heat I've had in years, and it was fantastic to spar with a guy like Henny. You know, he's professional, he gives you space, and it was just hell of a fun out there. Squirmy, slippery, but oh man, what a jewel. Hey?
That was an excellent battle. It's a pity the big cars held us up because we would have just gone flat out.
I enjoyed it. Always enjoy racing ever. It's I get past him, but I can't stay past. Try and do it next time.
And what does Josh Dovey have to say about the bump at turn 4?
They were in the way, so we had to push them off.
Get rid of them, pass them any way you can. We did.
On to race 2, and the drivers accelerate over the start line into turn 1, and it's Ross Lazarus holding firm in first, followed by Terry Wilford as they go into turn 2. Looking back from the iron on board of Ross Lazarus in his Ford GT40, we can see he had some great drives out of turn 3, but not far behind him is Terry Wilford, and in the background we see Mark du Toit going up the inside of Peter Lindenberg to try and make up a position. Oh no! Terry Wilford was pushing hard and has overcooked it going into Castrol. He runs wide and gifts the position to Oliver DeLay, who gratefully accepts. Up the hill they go, and DeLay now has Lazarus in his sights. Terry Wilford is trying to make up ground after his turn 4 mishap, but he outbrakes himself and spins off into the dirt. He's going to have some work to do as he rejoins the race much further down the field. Back on board with Ross Lazarus, we now see Oliver DeLay spinning out into turn 7 after snatching first instead of third. Mark du Toit would have had to think quickly as the GT40 spun in front of him. A deja vu moment as the battle with Falconer and Groenewold continues, with Jonathan du Toit now in the mix as they head round turn 5. Du Toit runs wide and Falconer takes the inside line around 6 and retakes the position. Josh Dovey follows Falconer through and is running side by side with du Toit as they head to turn 8. Back with our leaders as we see Mark du Toit has got it right on the back of Lazarus as they power out of turn 2 and head towards 3. But when Lazarus puts the power down, the GT40 pulls a gap as we see that in action here. Falconer is putting the pressure on Groenewold as he takes the outside line round turn 5. Groenewold sliding his car round the bends as he tries to control that heavy Mercury Comet and keep the momentum into turn 6. Falconer has a look down the inside line at turn 8, but Groenewold just keeps the power down and the Ford Mustang of Falconer at bay. This really is a fantastic battle between these big giants. Josh Dovey lunges down the outside of du Toit heading into 2. But goes wide while Jonathan du Toit puts the power down. The little Lotus manages to keep up with the Nova as they head to turn 3. Up at the front, Lazarus goes to the outside of the track, and this gives Mark du Toit a chance to pass Lazarus and take the lead. In the battle for 4th place, we see Falconer leading the pack, but he has Terry Wilford hot on his heels. Groenewold goes wide out of turn 4. Oliver DeLay seizes the opportunity and moves up a spot as they charge up to turn 5. Wilford takes a chance and gets late on the brakes heading into turn 5 and puts his car in the center of the track, preventing Falconer from fighting back. The Daytona gets the power down and pulls a gap over the Mustang. Into Castrol corner, and Oliver DeLay has got ahead of Tom Falconer and is now hunting down Wilford. Groenewold and Falconer are side by side again, with neither driver giving an inch. Oh no! Josh Dovey now spins out of the entry of turn 4, and that seems to be the end of his race. We follow our race leader Mark du Toit as he crosses the line to take the checkered flag. He is followed by Ross Lazarus in 2nd. In the battle for 4th, Terry Wilford is trying to find a gap past Oliver DeLay as they head towards the line. No such luck though, and Wilford will have to be happy with 5th. Confirmation of the results then, and Henny Groenewold takes 6th ahead of Thomas Falconer in 7th. Looking at the championship, in the Legends Production Cars, Class ZB is tight with Roy Pronto in 56 and Clive Dencham in 55. Peter Lindenberg has won Class B in the Le Mans Sports and GT Championship.
Nice way to win the championship is when you win the last race. But it was a gift. I'll accept it. At my age, you don't get championships too often, so grab whatever you get.
Yeah, good race for me. I started in 5th and some of the other guys spun out in front of us. And I managed to chase down Ross and get past him, so win for me, lekker.
Yeah, it started off, I saw Oliver behind me and then I saw him spin out. I was having problems with the back of my car. It was sliding a hell of a lot, and the next thing I saw Mark charging. And I tried to keep him behind me, but he was a bit too quick and he got me at the top over there. So it was a good race, and I'm happy. We just now need to prepare for the 1 hour coming up.
First lap, I don't know if I had enough heat in the brakes. Got to turn 4 and almost went off, and then got to turn 5 and did go off. So Bit of an error. Maybe should have warmed up the brakes a bit more in the warm-up lap, but hey, it made for a good race.
I was coming second and I had a chance for first, and I think I was a bit too excited, and when I wanted to change from second to third, I hit first, and I was instantly off the track. But I recovered, and I was almost up there again with the guys. Terry and I both had a big moment, and it was a good race, fantastic race.
Catch us after the break for more racing action from Swartkorps with the Midas Historic Tour.